I mean, already,
you kind of getting a lot of interest in the video version.
That's fine.
All right, so welcome back to Comedy or Worse. Hell yeah, I'm here with a very special guest.
Jack Svetz.
Yay. I almost did it the worst possible time. I was taking a drink. For all you audio listeners, that's why there was a pause.
Yeah.
Video people realize
We'll
that.
understand.
Like, what is he doing? He should have stalled or something. Anyway, so that is your full name, is that correct?
Yep, Jack Michael Svetz.
Oh, okay. Guess you left out your middle name, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's my dad's name, so I always feel like I have to do it, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Jack Svetz, but Michael I throw in sometimes.
Oh, because you're the second?
Mm-hmm. No, not at all. My dad's name is Michael.
Oh,
so
okay,
he
nice.
gave me his name as the middle name, and I feel like why not do it sometimes? To honor him. Not that he's dead or anything, but to honor him.
Yeah, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. So how did you get into comedy?
I got into comedy when I was 19 and a freshman in college. I had been doing theater my whole life, pretty much up to college, and I stopped, and I was like, I'll just focus on whatever. My dad, ironically, was just like, you should be an actor. And I was like, I think that's a ridiculous thing for your father to tell you, just like, you should be an actor? No, you shouldn't. You should never tell your kid they should be something like that. But it stuck with me, and I remember being 2 months into college and texting my now fiance and saying, I don't know, I want to be on stage. I don't know how, I don't know why I want to, but I want to be on stage. And I always liked being the funny parts on stage, and she found an open mic and was like, go to this. And I did it, and I fell in love with it. Been doing it pretty much ever since. That was in Flagstaff, Arizona. So there was a mic ran at a place called Southside Tavern. And it's still Southside Tavern, but the little brick room they have in the back has pool tables in it now. But they were giving everybody 10 minutes, which is a crazy mic because it was, a small college town. And went up and did 10 minutes, and I recorded that set, and yeah, I watched it about a year ago and was like, this is the worst thing anybody's ever done on stage. I was getting so many pity laughs from everybody that I invited, but it was worth seeing how far I've grown. So yeah, that's how long I've been doing it. Took 14 months off in the pandemic and whatnot, but yeah.
That makes sense. It was hard to do.
Super hard to do. I mean, even if places were open, I was in nursing school at the time, so it just felt inappropriate for me to go and mask up and walk into anywhere in a hospital and then immediately go out and do an open mic somewhere. It just didn't seem accurate,
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah. That's a whole other topic. I don't want to talk about it.
No, it was
Traumatic.
horrible time.
So did you get addicted to comedy right away?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like there's a lot of vices in the world, and a comic's vice is either alcohol or comedy. And I don't drink ever when I'm on stage, so mine is definitely comedy. Secondary to gambling, but definitely comedy. I got addicted immediately. I wanted to do as much as possible. I got involved with an organization called Flag Laughs with Erica Haller, who no longer runs Flag Laughs, but I got involved with them and started putting on the mics and doing showcases and stuff like that up in Flagstaff up until the pandemic, and it was going well. I would eat shit on stage all the time because I was 19 years old and thinking I was running the world, but I mean it was a growing experience for sure.
That's
Yeah.
Let's see. So what is your writing process for comedy?
I think it often changes. I sit down and I try and write at least 20 minutes a day. However, with nursing and doing 12.5-hour shifts and then immediately coming here or wherever, it doesn't work out like that. I think a lot of the time I do my best writing if I put my phone in the other room. I don't like to have access to the outside world really, where it's just pen and paper or my laptop take it off of Wi-Fi and put it on airplane mode. Because if I don't do that, I'm Gen Z. I get distracted so easily by any little thing that I'm gonna look up. If I'm trying to be accurate, I'm like, I know I can look it up a little bit later and then nail it down, but pretty much isolating myself is the best way for me to at least develop ideas. I found that I've developed the ideas best in the shower because I have no access to the outside world, and it just allows me to think and think and think without distracting myself for one reason or another.
Okay, that's cool. Let's see, so do you remember when we met for the first time?
When we met for the first time, I'm really trying to think of like when we met, because I had seen you around. I moved here about 4 months ago, and I had seen you around, and I saw you perform at ACC and stuff like that. But I don't think we had ever like formally met until probably a month or two ago, and I think it was just right in this hallway for a brief second. This is the first time we've really been able to have, I feel like, a full conversation. We've had like passing conversations, as you do with 90% of the comics that are in your city, but yeah, this is the first full conversation, I feel like.
Yeah, making content.
There we are.
This is the way we do it. This is one of the things about this podcast.
Yeah.
Getting to know. I'm getting to know the comic, and you are getting to know
That's right.
the comic at the same time.
At the same time.
So, what's the furthest you've traveled for comedy so far?
Good question. I would say here. I mean, I've done it in a variety of different places, just like a mic or whatever. But show-wise, I've only done it in like Arizona and then here. Mic-wise, I've done mics in a variety of different places, but show-wise, which is how I would like to put it, is Arizona and here.
Okay, cool. Do you have any hobbies that don't involve comedy?
Big Cleveland sports guy. I'm very the Browns play on Saturday and they play a playoff game, and I don't know if this has come out before it. Hopefully they will have won at this point. But the Browns play a playoff game, and I can't think about anything else besides that. I work one more shift as a nurse this week, and I'm going to get nothing done because I'm just too excited for the game. That's one of my biggest hobbies. I do a lot of different things as well, but I feel like comedy takes over a lot of your life to where your hobbies are that related. I'm a big craft brewery guy, but again, every time at a craft brewery, I'm like, this is a good spot for a show. Things are always nagging, So yeah, Cleveland sports I think is one of my biggest hobbies. I have a fiance and I hang out with her a lot. Not that I'm gonna call her a hobby at all, but we do a lot of stuff together.
That's cool. So I guess you started pretty young in comedy. You probably don't wish you started earlier, right?
I always wish I started earlier. I think everybody, no matter when they start, wishes they started earlier. There's a guy, Aldo Campana, shout out Aldo, in Phoenix, and he started when he was in high school. He's taken off pretty much by far now. He was on Just for Laughs, one of the newcomers there this past year. So I look at people like that, and I did go to high school with a guy named Tristan Bowling who started in high school as well, and he's in New York now. I always wish I started earlier, but I don't know how I would have done it. I think it's random how you start, despite if you love stand-up comedy or not, it's so random. I feel like you fall upon it. There's some people at the beginning of every year that'll try it because that's their New Year's resolution.
Sure.
But I think it's super random how you fall upon it. I would love to have started earlier. I just don't see how feasibly that would have worked out.
Right. Makes sense. So what are your goals in comedy?
I think they change year to year. My ultimate goal is to be able to not have a day job. By 35, I'm 24 now, by the age of 35, my goal is to make as much in comedy as I did in nursing so I can quit nursing. Not that I don't like nursing, it's not my favorite thing in the world, but this is what I want to do. My goal is to basically make a living in comedy, tell jokes, and then die. Those are my goals. Yeah.
Cool. Do you have a favorite joke? Anybody's joke, it doesn't matter.
Favorite joke, anybody's joke. That's a good question. That is a very good question. I think one of my all-time favorite jokes is a joke Louis C.K. recently did. And recent is so, volatile. But he takes out the Bible, okay? And he goes through it step by step. And he talks about the loaves and fish thing, or like the water into wine type of situation. And I think he pinpointed it so perfectly where he's like, he turns all the water into wine, and the guy's like, well, we needed a little bit of water, I don't know why you turned it all into wine. I don't know why that's my favorite joke. I just think it ties in he has a Bible on stage going through that and just perfectly describes like some of the holes, where you're like, why would he do that? That type of situation. I haven't seen anybody else bring out a Bible and read it word for word and then criticize it, as opposed to just the idea of stories in the Bible,
right,
and then criticizing it from there and generalizing, probably not being as factual or accurate. But to literally do that was amazing, and I really think that's my favorite joke at the moment. Things will change, as it goes on. But
right,
but yeah, favorite joke at the moment. I don't condone what he did, by the way. But yeah.
It's just comedy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have like a favorite fan interaction? Like somebody said, "Oh, I love your comedy," or something like that.
I think I have a few. My favorite interactions are interactions that don't go well. Most recently, my favorite so maybe not fan interaction, but person interaction about comedy specifically, was at Quantum, the last Friday, where this guy was heckling everybody, and apparently he'd been there for weeks, right? Just heckling away.
Yeah.
And I've been doing this long enough to know that not to let him get in a word. So if he was gonna get in a word, a lot of times he does it at pauses. I would time my pauses so well that he wouldn't be able to do that. And even if he was, I would just talk right over them, keep the crowd on my side, right?
Yeah, it was crazy. People were talking to him.
Yeah. I was like, but like 8 minutes in, I was tired. I was like, I don't want any other comics to have to deal with this, Let me do what I can do best, which is shut him down so much that he can't do it. So turning to him and calling him Fat Jesus, and then moving into my next bit and not giving him time to, respond was great. And then I got rushed to stage, right? Right after that, he realized he wasn't gonna be able to talk to me, so he turned to his whatever person in the bar and started talking super loudly to them, trying to get on my nerves, which successfully, he did it. So I said, what the fuck are you doing? And this was right as I was getting, about to get off stage. I said, what the fuck are you doing? And he said, I'm talking to my neighbor. And I said, oh, that's cool, where are your tents set up? And that was, remember, that was the line where he stood up and he was like, you're gonna call me fat, you're gonna call me homeless, what kind of conditioner do you use? And I was like, that's a weird thing to ask out of nowhere. But then he rushed the stage and Aaron stopped him, so I did not get punched. Did I think I was gonna get punched by Fat Jesus? No, I would have dodged that. But Aaron made sure that point was not gonna happen.
Like, what is going on?
Yeah, it was crazy, ridiculous. But after that, I went outside and I was talking to somebody who was also from Cleveland, because one of my jokes was about Cleveland. And we were talking and he tried to come out and talk to me. And I was like, this is not gonna happen. You're not gonna rush the stage and then try and talk to me like I'm a human being. No, absolutely not. But he kept trying to talk to me, I kept just ignoring him, and then he finally pulled my arm to face him. And I knew, at that point I knew he was harmless for the most sense, and he was just angry at me because I wouldn't let him get a word in my entire set and then roasted him for it. And he kept talking to me, and I let him get out the best 20 seconds he had, that he was thinking that he wanted to yell at me. And after 20 seconds I said, let me stop you right there. I don't give a fuck what you're saying to me at all. This does not matter. Nobody around here cares what you have to say as a human being based on what you've been doing the past few weeks. Get the fuck out of here. And he eventually he started to leave, and he was like, and I was like, no, get the fuck out of here. I think that's my favorite interaction just because it elicited such an emotion. Maybe it wasn't positive emotion, but it elicited such an emotion that he felt like he deserved time and he didn't. I was very proud of myself in the moment for just shutting him down, which I think is why it's my favorite interaction right now. But yeah, that's my favorite thus far.
That doesn't mean you should heckle.
Do not heckle.
No.
Never heckle. Unless, of course, the comic asks you a question, you answer the question, and then move on with
That's
your life.
not heckle.
Yeah.
That's the difference. So do you have any merch?
I don't, no. I really didn't get into the social media game until the past 4 months. So the whole time I was doing comedy back in Flagstaff and across Arizona, I really was not prominent on social media. I semi-regret not, but I think it allowed me to grow jokes a little better and just develop better as a comic to where I didn't have a presence on social media and therefore I didn't have merch, right? Still don't have merch. I feel like I'm ways away from merch. So at some point in the future, sure, absolutely, I'm open to the idea, but not at the moment.
Okay, cool. So what's like the biggest audience you've performed for so far?
That's a good question. Probably 150, 200 people. Back before the pandemic, I would do consistent spots at the Orpheum Theater up in Flagstaff, and we used to go into the bar area. We would close off the curtains to the main area, go into the bar area, and those shows would always pack. It was such a fun room, and we'd have people like in the rafters of the balconies looking down at us at a weird angle, but I think the most that we got in there was probably 200 at one point, filling up those rafter seats as well. It doesn't fill as much anymore because it's on the main stage, and main stage comedy, unless you're packing a 900 seat Orpheum Theater, doesn't really pan out as well. Not a lot of people like to go and sit on the main floor and kind of look up as if you're doing a music thing. I love those shows. Every time I go back, I would love to do those shows. They're amazing, even on the main stage. But I just don't think people come out as much simply because of that. Yeah, people are a little still wary after the pandemic. It hit that theater hard.
Let's see. So do you do any other art?
I mean, I'm a sketch writer. I write, I produce sketches, direct sketches. I act as well. I mean, karaoke, but I don't know if I count that as an art. I think that's just being able to mimic whoever you want to mimic at that point in time, which could be an art in of itself. But yeah, so a lot of different stuff around the entertainment business for sure.
Cool.
But I cannot paint to save the life of me. Yeah, right.
So what was your family like growing up?
My family was very supportive of pretty much everything I would do. I mean, they always pushed me. As I said, my dad wanted me to be an actor. Maybe it's a little too supportive for an 18-year-old, but they were. I mean, it was pretty much a classic nuclear family: 2 parents, 1 sister, 1 brother, and it was just the 4 of us. And we moved from Cleveland to Charlottesville to Goodyear, Arizona, and then I went to Flagstaff for college. Always supportive, had no problems with anybody growing up. Really appreciated all the time I had with them, and we have a great relationship now.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you grew up in Arizona then?
Yeah, I like to say I'm from Cleveland, but I definitely grew up in Arizona. I lived in Cleveland for 5 years, lived in Charlottesville, Virginia for 5 years, and then when I was 11, we moved to Arizona. So high school, middle school, high school was Arizona. But yeah, I don't often say I'm from Arizona. I like to say I'm from Cleveland. Not that that's any better, but I feel like Cleveland deserves some representation a little bit.
Cool. So do you ever do a character on stage?
Not often. I think it's definitely me on stage, just slightly different. I elicit different emotions than what I currently am at. I think I'm a little sillier and a little more monotone on stage, but I don't think there's a persona there for sure, but it's me. Yeah, it's just me, and if I was in a different environment, truly.
monotone, huh?
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I think I like it better. I think I like to perform my jokes in a monotone setting where it elicits it highlights the aspect of the writing of the joke as opposed to me performing it well. There are jokes where I'm not monotone, but I love the idea of the audience laughing at specifically the ensemble of words that I created, as opposed to me being wild and whatnot, And that's just me. I mean, there's so many different comics out there. I could not be a physical comic. I don't think I'm good at it whatsoever. I can get physical in sketches, but on stage, it just does not. It does not pan out for me very well. It takes a lot of confidence to do physical comedy, and I don't think I have that for stand-up.
Well, I mean, I find that it's like everything you try to switch styles, it's like starting over. So all it takes is doing it and getting better at it.
I think that's fair. I think that's definitely fair. I love the lane that I'm in right now. And I mean, I veer off the track a little bit, but I like the lane that I'm in where I write all my material, very little of it comes from real life. So being able to just create that alternate universe for the person I'm presenting on stage, I like that to be highlighted more than the laughs itself, which sounds ridiculous and conceited as hell, but that's where I stand with what I do.
Okay. So have you ever won like a comedy contest or anything like that?
I mean, little contests here and there in Flagstaff, but other than that, I mean, I really haven't entered a whole lot of contests. But yeah, just here and there, little like open mic contests and stuff like that.
Cool.
No,
So have
like
you ever
famous
been
person with a day job or anything.
have you ever been like on Kill Tony or anything like that?
No, never been on Kill Tony, never made it out to Austin. I have a few friends that live in Austin that have been on Kill Tony a few times. Kill Tony's interesting to me. I don't watch Kill Tony. I don't know if you watch Kill Tony. A ton of people watch Kill Tony. I don't like it that much. And if he ever sees, hopefully you never see this Tony Hunch clip. But I think it's a very niche thing. I just don't think it's my thing. I would love to be on the show. I think it not only grows yourself, but it gives you so many opportunities. The best thing about that show is it gives comics who would have no name lots of opportunities. I wish to be on that show. Hopefully one day I'll probably visit her in Austin and be on that show at some point. But at this point, not at the moment. But he is doing the Key of Forum soon, so maybe I'll head up there.
Cool. So what's the worst thing about comedy right now?
For me or in general?
Whatever, however you take the question.
It's a good question. I'll answer it in general. I think the art of stand-up alone and writing has dissipated slightly simply because of crowd work videos that have become popular. I think crowd work videos are very funny. They are. I think it's a time in stand-up comedy though where there's a lot of people trying to do specific crowd work videos where their sets are only crowd work, where they go up there with nothing and 90% of the time they're gonna bomb their asses off, but the 10% of the time is what they've recorded and it shows online, oh, they're great at crowd work. Nobody's great at crowd work. People you only see what's good at crowd work. So people focus a lot on doing that. And I'm not saying you shouldn't focus on crowd work, be good at crowd work. But I think it takes away from the art itself of writing jokes that you say that the crowd listens to. I feel like a lot of people don't look at it as a movie anymore. Like you're on stage, you're a movie. You should not talk during the movie. You should not get up or make a ruckus during the movie. Turn your phones off for the movie. But now it feels almost like you walk into a comedy club and you're like, maybe I'll get an interaction out of this, maybe I'll be able to talk to the comic that's on stage. And it's allowed a lot more people to feel more confident speaking, which then derails a show, derails a set, turns into a train wreck way more often than what had happened pre-pandemic, at least from what I've seen.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, I mean, it's not that I want the audience to heckle or interact,
Yeah.
but pre-written and stuff.
Yeah.
It's fun to like be in the moment, and and you're just kind of tricking the audience.
Oh yeah.
And they will know. Oh yeah, he's written this material already.
Yeah.
But if you can like go off something the last comic said, or some kind of thing,
wholeheartedly
you're
agree.
in control of
Improv
it.
it, yeah.
It makes it special in the moment.
Wholeheartedly agree about that. My only thing is I've seen so many sets where people go into it wanting to do crowd. Like that's what they're doing, no matter what the last comic has done.
Right.
And there's too many people doing that, and there's too many audiences that have seen that where they're like, I can derail. Like I never love to give the audience the power, of determining how my set's gonna go. I want to determine that based on eliciting their emotions as opposed to them eliciting emotions out of me. And I feel like audiences have gotten too brave in that sense of a manner, where
I mean,
and I think
read the audience.
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Change what jokes you're gonna do.
For sure. But like experienced comics have ways to do that, right? As opposed to like, and there are jokes that you set up where you can get a little bit of crowd work. Like for instance, I have a joke where I start out where I'm like, I'm originally from Cleveland, and somebody will shout woo, and my immediate response is not a brag. And that usually that's my crowd work, that gets a reaction. It's structured crowd work as opposed to like, and there are a lot of good crowd work where it derails, and those are like good clips where it's like drunk, gin and tonic lady in the back yelling a ton, and then they kick her out and everybody's excited. But like, that doesn't happen as much as people don't realize, like that's very rare to get a clip like that, but you see it happen all the time, you see people heckling all the time because they think that's what's gonna,
for sure.
maybe they could be that drunk gin and tonic lady, and make it be like,
want to be.
yeah, they're like, that was me. The clip that got 600,000 views, that was me. I was the drunk lady. Like, I was super funny, wasn't I? Yeah.
So, well, I mean, on the other side of it, like the comics that do crowd work well, they're going through these like choose your own adventure decisions.
Yeah, structured crowd work.
And
yeah.
It's because they've done it enough.
Yeah.
Oh, that's thought about it enough.
That's fair.
To like. And then they even have an answer for when they what do you do when someone says something that's totally unusual?
Yeah.
Or they never thought of.
No, for sure. And I like
just
and you
say.
You look at comics like Stavros Halkias, right, where he does that really, really well. But it's so like, and there are comics that do that very well, but it's so niche to be that great at it,
Right.
that it's like trying to be, Steve Carlin, or not, I say Steve Carlin, George Carlin,
Right.
where, I can't believe I just said Steve Carlin, that hurts my soul. But it's like trying to be George Carlin. You're not going to be George Carlin, You're not going to be Stavros Halkias. You got to be you. The crowd is not going to determine that. I feel like ultimately your writing and how you do that is going to be you. It's a niche thing for sure. I just think too many people are trying to do it, and especially so many new comics see what's happening online, being able to grow that presence because of crowd work clips, and then try and replicate that. And it's just like, that's just
you
not
should almost do it.
how that goes.
You should almost fake it and do sketches.
Yeah.
That's the book.
Bingo. Have it procure. Structured crowd work, right?
And also, it's not good for newer comics to do crowd work because the bookers don't want you to do that. That's for the headliner to do.
Exactly. And that's exactly my point. I just think there's too many people trying to do it right now, which then in turn allows audiences to get too brave, and vice versa. It'll level itself out. Everything in comedy eventually does. I just think right now that's the worst part about it.
Makes sense. Stop honking.
Good thing I did not drive, or my car would be getting robbed right now.
Okay, let's see. Is there anything that you want to talk about?
I'm curious about you. When did you start?
I started yesterday. I don't even
Episode
know,
1.
I don't even know how you listen to me. I started 5 years ago.
Oh, nice. Okay. Was it here or was it somewhere else?
The Madhouse. Yeah, the other Madhouse actually entered a comedy contest because it's just was the day that I was available.
You said there was a different Madhouse before.
At the Horton Plaza.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know it was
on
over there.
Monday. It was like a holiday, like a Labor Day or something.
Okay.
Like I put a New Year's resolution, I'm going to do comedy, and then didn't do it that year. But then the next year, I'm like, oh, okay, I did.
There we are. You're one of the New Year's resolution people I was just talking
Does that
about.
still count? When you miss the whole year, I'm like, oh my god.
I think it counts. I think it
do
counts in a sense, but that's so funny that that's how you started. And I don't shit on New Year's resolutions people at all. I just think there's two ways of doing it. You accidentally stumble upon it, or it's a New Year's resolution, right? And it's funny that here we are, stumble upon New Year's resolution. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could have stumbled upon it earlier. I wish I would have started earlier. I started at 47, so.
Yeah. What? I have another question, and then we can wrap it up. But I always love to
Don't ask the same questions that everybody else asks.
I always ask.
Don't ask my questions.
I'm not going to ask your questions.
Okay.
I always love to ask comics this, and it is, what do you feel like your biggest mistake in comedy is so far in 5 years? What do you wish you would have done differently? It can be a small thing, it could be a big thing. I just think it's always interesting to look back on what you do and determine.
I think that the things that I wish I would have done, besides starting earlier, is like practice more off stage and listen back more to the clips and take notes, and that's always gonna feel like unless I'm actually doing comedy for a living, I think it's always gonna be that way.
Yeah.
I just don't have enough time. I have other interests.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, it's like there's I wish I would have I want to start streaming like video games, but my internet is crap. So I wish I would have
upgrade that internet. Right.
I'm getting free internet right now, so
yeah,
it's kind of hard.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's kind of hard to like upgrade free internet. It's not easy.
Yeah, that's fair. Good point.
Yeah, I don't know.
So just like the overall like not practicing off stage enough is kind of your.
Not practicing off stage enough. Not. I don't. Also, like just. I don't want to be annoying to bookers, but it's like a lot of times I go by lots of time and I haven't been asking to be on shows. Yeah. And people aren't.
I think there's a sweet spot to that for sure.
Like, be on my show. I occasionally get asked to be on shows, but.
Yeah, I think there's a sweet spot to that where you put in you cut your teeth, you know, after you cut your teeth, but you've cut your teeth, right? After you've cut your teeth, I can't believe I said that 5 times. But after you cut your teeth, 6, then I feel like it's okay to ask, you know. And as long as you're polite about it, and you can give, you know, if you have credits, give credits.
Yeah, put me on your shows, please. I'll do shows.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'll do your show.
Yeah.
And that's like, there's very few shows I wouldn't do. If I'm already doing a show and then you ask me to be on your show,
well, yeah,
it's hard to do.
Unless it's a better show, in which I am always down for the bigger buck.
I don't want to do that. I want to be a man of my word.
Oh, I get exactly what you're saying.
I don't want to be like, oh, yeah, sorry, I can't do your crappy show. I'm doing a slightly better show.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's still crappy.
Money talks.
Yeah. Pay
money talks.
Oh, I know one thing. I guess it's kind of comedy related. I wish in college I was like trying to do t-shirts and like sell t-shirts.
Oh yeah.
And I just kind of stopped doing it. Well, I mean, I wasn't selling anything.
Yeah.
Back then, and it's like now I'm doing it and I'm selling some, but it's so hard to sell online.
Yeah. Oh, it absolutely is. Unless you have that, you have to figure out how to corner a certain market, especially online where there's 8 billion people in the world. How many people are trying to sell stuff online that are doing the same thing? You just have to find a niche corner of the market, sell your stuff, which some people definitely are able to do. I mean, you look at some of these like people that have promoted their stuff on Instagram and they all of a sudden blow up. Like this one artist, Ad Hogan. Shout out Ad Hogan. We bought a few of his paintings, and it was just like his paintings are super great, but somehow he became the painting guy on on Instagram. And I'm sure when I say Ad Hogan, whoever's watching this, you've seen Ad Hogan.
So are you saying you started buying from him before he was famous on Instagram?
No, that's what I mean. It's like somehow he became that guy, right? And I was just like, oh, this shit's really cool. But it's like the only type of that pops up on Instagram. I don't know how you become the front runner for being an artist on Instagram or whatever.
Well, I mean,
there's
all
a
the
lot of
algorithms
blocks.
are tailored to your taste. So
Yeah,
you've
that's
not
fair.
seen
That's
the
fair.
other artists that you wouldn't like anyway.
That's fair. He also did a thing where he was like, I'm giving away one of these free paintings. And I got that, and it was super sick. And I was like, yeah, I'll buy a shit ton after that, you know? So there's that, I guess. But I don't know how I stumbled upon it, but he became the painting guy on Instagram for me. Well, because I buy all this shit. But he became, for me, but before that, I'd seen him a few times, and then that one ad popped up, and I was like, okay, cool, awesome. So, but selling online is
what I
tough.
gotta do is give my stuff away. Then somehow they'll feel guilty and they'll buy more.
I think I didn't feel guilty. I just loved it that much.
Oh,
it was like it did exactly what
raise the level.
he was betting on himself, where he gave away like a painting that was like this size, you know, to everybody, you know, and was hoping probably 20% of those people come back and buy more shit. I was one of those 20 people. He was just betting on himself that his art is so cool that people will want to buy more once they see it in person, and at least it worked for me. You know, I don't know if it's working for everybody else, but it worked for me. At least that business model.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, if you didn't
Give away a sticker or something.
bingo. Yeah, give away a sticker. Give away something that allows people to have interest in it, see it, and then be like, okay, I want to come back for this. You know, that was very cool. Why don't I do this instead?
Yeah.
You know, I want that. That's at least what drew me in, specifically selling on or somebody selling online. I don't often sell stuff online. If I do, it's like Poshmark or OfferUp, and then it's just stuff that I don't want. You know, like I'm not developing anything. Like it's just shit that I don't want that I'm getting rid of. That I'm like, Goodwill is not as non-profit as it says. Let me profit myself as opposed to these higher ups. So yeah, that's a good I think mistake that you went over was the whole t-shirt thing. I think that's fair. That's, you know, you have more experience in that and selling and stuff like that and marketing, but that's a good regret.
Yeah. Or I'm not saying that I would be good at it and would make money.
It just would help.
It just would have been nice to like kept doing it.
Yeah.
Because I've always wanted to do it, and I was trying it, and I stopped, and now I'm doing it again.
Well, what made you stop? Was it just life got in the way type of
Yeah,
situation?
it's like it was still going to school, and then I moved, and then it was just like I don't
Figure
know.
out.
I just never really.
Where did you go to school though?
Several schools. I got my AA in computer science at Palomar College.
Okay.
And then then I went to Cal State San Marcos, but I moved back to Santa Rosa for like a year and a half, and I went to Sonoma State.
Okay.
Then I came back here, and I actually had to take one more class. I messed up.
Oh really? One
So
more. You
I had to take one more class a year.
Of
And
course.
then I got my Bachelor of Science in Computer Science.
Oh, that's
Cal
awesome.
State San
I didn't
Marcos.
know you had that. That's great. That's so funny you could take one more class though.
Because it's like I had enough credits, but I didn't have enough credits at the actual attending the school.
So it was more so it was I completely like you finished all the courses,
Right.
but you had to take an extra course because the school
Yeah,
was
it's like in the fine print. It's like
It
you
was
have to
their
take
school.
90 courses
at our
this.
school. Yeah, 90
the
credits
school.
there, and you were at 87. What did you end up taking? Like Psych 101 or some shit like that, or was it something towards your degree?
It was like a general ed kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was like it's like there's one class where I had taken it. It was pretty interesting. Like talking about how other cultures see kind of like international. You look at other cultures and
kind of see how they develop and with their ideas.
It's like, it was interesting because it was like I started taking that class at Sonoma State, and then I messed up my schedule was messed up. I took it again, and I loved the course, and then I came here and had to kind of take it again.
So it's almost like
it was kind of interesting because then I had to like take it at a whole different school.
And did they teach it differently then? Was it like you learned?
Oh no, I actually I think I took. If I remember correctly, I think I just took a different title course, but kind of the same way. It was kind of interesting, a different approach to it.
I think that's an interesting thing because I feel like every teacher teaches, every professor, every teacher teaches things differently, you know. So it is. I feel like it would be interesting, or at least a nice little experiment to pick 3 different colleges, take like a general like Psych 101 or Bio 101, and see kind of how it differs in the approach. I think that's very interesting. That's very interesting. That's cool that you got to experience that though. I mean, blessing in disguise, of course.
Yeah, it was interesting because too, like I had to like write papers, and I wrote this paper, and I got a pretty good grade on it, and I'm like, it's not even that good. And then she's like, explain to me, well, you're not this major. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Duh, you're graded based on what major you are in.
The fact that you were putting an effort in that class is all she wanted.
Yeah. You did fine for just general.
Yeah.
Not, different major.
Mm-hmm. That's all she wanted was the fact that you were putting it. The fact that you wrote the paper and it made sense is probably exactly all she cared for at that point.
But that's definitely procrastination sometimes is a problem. Mm-hmm. So I've been getting better at it.
Big procrastinator?
Yeah, I've been getting better at not procrastinating.
Huh.
And it's just like, oh yeah, well I want to do this. So I just like have to find it's not that I still kind of procrastinate, but just not as much.
Yeah.
Find time. Okay, I feel like doing it, and then I do it.
Yeah, I get that. I feel like I go in waves, where like one day I'll be super I'll procrastinate a lot, and then the next day I get on this like manic cleaning episode where I clean everything and I do stuff, and I'm like I can't rest until everything's done, and I'll keep adding chores in my head. Probably not the healthiest thing in the world, right? But I go in waves, and then the next day I'm doing nothing, and I'm like I'll get it tomorrow. But then I go and it's just up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you got to give yourself time off.
Exactly. I just feel like I don't want to give myself time off until after I've completed everything, or I have too much to do and then I procrastinate and I just keep pushing it off until it becomes one big thing, and then I just knock it out in a day and my day is gone and I've lost that sunlight, and here we are. Yeah. So I feel like it's very unhealthy, but I think we're not alone in that sense.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
just
therapy, I guess. I
procrastinate on not procrastinating.
Yeah, it's the new Macbeth is how they say it.
Cool. Okay, so how do people find you online?
They can find me a variety of ways now. I'm on Instagram at Jack Svetz, Svetz. YouTube, I'm starting TikTok, but I hate TikTok. Twitter I've had forever, but I don't have any comedy stuff on Twitter. That's mostly Cleveland sports. Go Browns, by the way, again. But yeah, Instagram and YouTube are kind of my big things. And then, shows around town and shows.
Yeah, come see live comedy. Come to a show that Jack is on.
And if you're in Arizona tour from the 20th through the 23rd of March, Litchfield Park, Prescott, Flagstaff, and Lake Havasu City. So if you're in those areas, see me then.
Yeah. Sweet. All right, I think that's all we have time for.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Thanks for being on the show.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm glad we were able to sit down and talk. This is my first real conversation. I feel like I learned a lot about you.
I can listen back to it if I want to remember.
Yeah.
Wait, what's City Sports?
Yeah.
Right? Yes, I was right.
He's right. There we are. Awesome.
All right, this has been another episode of Comedy or Worse. Bye, everybody.
See ya. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in.